The massive human warship HMS Valiant drifted slowly through the shimmering portal, its hull gleaming under the light of unfamiliar stars. On the bridge, Commander Ju Park stood with her hands clasped behind her back, her face calm despite the tension in her shoulders. "Wormhole transit complete, Commander," reported Lieutenant Minho at the navigation console. "All systems functioning normally." "Very good," Park replied. She studied the view screen, taking in the sweep of stars and distant nebulae. "Where exactly are we?" The science officer, Hyjin, looked up from her instruments. "Unknown region, Commander. No match with any charted space in our databases. But I'm detecting artificial signals. Lots of them." Park nodded slowly. The Valiant represented the pinnacle of human engineering. A deep space exploration vessel with defensive capabilities that made it Earth's de facto flagship. Its mission had been to test the newly discovered wormhole technology, but no one had expected to emerge in the middle of what appeared to be heavily trafficked space. "Commander," called Communications Officer Chuno, "we're receiving a transmission. Unknown language, but the universal translator is working on it." The main screen flickered, revealing a humanoid figure with silvery skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. The alien spoke, its voice processed through the translator with only a slight delay. "Unidentified vessel, you have entered sovereign territory of the Tezan hegemony. Identify yourself immediately or face destruction." Park stepped forward. "This is Commander Ju Park of the Earth vessel HMS Valiant. We come in peace and apologize for our unexpected arrival. We've only recently developed wormhole technology and didn't realize this region was claimed territory." The alien's upper eyes narrowed. "Earth? We have no record of this world or species. We are from a star system approximately 30,000 light-years from this position," Park explained. "This is our first venture beyond our local galactic sector." The alien commander seemed to confer with someone off-screen before responding. "Primitive newcomers should not possess wormhole capability. Your vessel appears too advanced for an unknown species. Transmit your technical specifications immediately for inspection." Park exchanged glances with her first officer, Taeyong. This was exactly the kind of situation their mission protocols had warned about, revealing too much technology to a potentially hostile alien civilization could be dangerous. "I'm afraid we cannot share our technical specifications upon first contact," Park replied diplomatically. "Perhaps we could arrange a formal meeting to establish diplomatic relations first. We have no quarrel with the Tezan hegemony and would value peaceful exchange." The alien's face darkened to a deeper silver. "Your refusal suggests deception. The hegemony rules 10,000 worlds. We do not negotiate with single ships from unknown origins. You will comply or demonstrate your peaceful intentions by powering down your systems and preparing for boarding." "Sir," whispered Taeyong, "long-range sensors are detecting multiple vessels moving toward our position." Park maintained her composure. "Tazan Commander, we cannot allow boarding without proper diplomatic protocols in place. Perhaps there is a neutral location where representatives could meet." The alien made a sharp gesture. "Your evasion confirms our suspicions. Consider this your only warning." The transmission cut abruptly. "Multiple vessels accelerating toward us," reported the tactical officer, Jiu. 8 ships, combat configuration based on energy signatures. They'll be in weapons range in 3 minutes. Park took her command chair. "Yellow alert. Raise shields but keep weapons powered down. Let's not escalate this unless absolutely necessary." The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency as the Valiant's systems hummed to life. The experimental quantum shield, invisible to the eye, but represented on tactical displays as a blue bubble surrounding the ship, engaged silently. "They're hailing us again," Chuno said. The alien commander reappeared, now wearing what appeared to be ceremonial armor. "Your time has expired. The Tezan hegemony does not tolerate trespassers who refuse to acknowledge our authority. Your primitive vessel will make an educational example for other species considering defiance." Before Park could respond, the transmission ended. Energy spike from the lead vessel. Jihu called out. They're firing. Brilliant green beams lanced across space, striking the Valiant's shields. The bridge remained steady. No shaking, no alarms. Quantum shields holding at 99.8%, reported Jihu, surprise evident in his voice. The attack was absorbed, Commander. Park nodded. The quantum shield technology was Earth's greatest breakthrough, a defensive system that converted incoming energy attacks into usable power. But she hadn't expected it to work quite so effectively against completely alien weapons. Their weapons appear to use a form of plasma-based energy we've encountered before, Hyjin said, studying her readings. Our shields are actually stronger now than before they fired. On the view screen, the Tezan vessels had stopped advancing. They seemed to be regrouping, clearly confused by the ineffectiveness of their attack. They're hailing again, Chunho said. This time, the alien commander's face showed clear confusion. What technology is this? Our sensors detected no damage to your vessel. Park stood, straightening her uniform. As I said, we come in peace, but we are capable of defending ourselves. I suggest we return to diplomatic discussion rather than further weapons demonstrations. The alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Impossible. No shield could completely negate our weapons. You must have some form of absorption technology beyond anything in the hegemony's records. Perhaps that demonstrates why sharing technical specifications before establishing trust is unwise, Park replied evenly. Now shall we discuss peaceful contact, or do you intend to continue this unfortunate first impression? The alien seemed to seethe with barely contained rage. The High Command will hear of this. Prepare to face the full might of the Tezan hegemony. No lone vessel, no matter how advanced, can stand against our Armada. The transmission cut off again. The vessels are withdrawing, Commander, Jihu reported, moving off at high speed. Park sighed. Not the first contact anyone had hoped for. Maintain yellow alert. I suspect they've gone to report to their superiors and request reinforcements. Taeyong stepped closer. Commander, we could use the wormhole generator to return home. Report this encounter and return with a proper diplomatic fleet. Park considered this, then shook her head. The wormhole generator needs 12 hours to recharge after our transit. Besides, if we leave now, our next encounter will be with an even larger force. Better to stay and try to establish some kind of understanding. She turned to address the entire bridge. It seems we've stumbled into the territory of a vast empire that doesn't appreciate visitors. Our mission just got more complicated, but our objectives remain the same. Peaceful contact if possible, and gathering information about this region of space. Hyjin looked up from her console. Commander, I'm detecting thousands of worlds with signs of civilization within sensor range. The Tezan hegemony appears to be enormous. Park nodded slowly. One ship against an empire. But that single ship was the HMS Valiant, and its crew represented the best of humanity. Well then, she said, a hint of determination in her voice, let's show them what Earth diplomacy looks like. And if diplomacy fails, they've already seen a glimpse of what our defenses can do. The Valiant held position among the stars, awaiting the hegemony's next move. Battle group detected at the edge of our sensor range. Lieutenant Jihu announced, his voice steady despite the gravity of his words. 30 vessels. Commander, much larger than the patrol we encountered earlier. Commander Jihu Park stood from her captain's chair and approached the main view screen. The tactical display showed a formation of Tezan warships moving in perfect alignment, 6 rows of 5 ships each, advancing with military precision. They're not wasting any time, she observed. How long until they reach weapons range? 20 minutes at current speed, Jihu replied. Park turned to face her bridge crew. Their faces showed focus rather than fear, despite being outnumbered 30-1 in unknown space. The hegemony believes overwhelming force is the answer. Let's show them why quality matters more than quantity. She turned to her first officer. Taeyong, activate the Nexus Core. Prepare for combat maneuvers. Deep within the Valiant's engineering section, the revolutionary propulsion system hummed to life. Unlike conventional engines, the Nexus core created controlled micro-tiers in space-time, allowing the ship to make precise jumps even within a battle zone, something considered theoretically impossible until Earth scientists had proven otherwise. Nexus Core Online, reported Chief Engineer Dowan over the comms. We have power for approximately 40 jumps before requiring a cooldown cycle. Park nodded. Perfect. Jiu, load targeting solutions for their lid vessels. Hyjin, have the AI analyze their formation patterns and predict likely responses to our maneuvers. The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency as the Tazan battle group approached. On the main view screen, the alien fleet grew larger, their hulls gleaming with an iridescent metallic sheen that seemed to shift colors in the starlight. "They're hailing us," Communications Officer Chino announced. "On screen," Park ordered. A different Tazan commander appeared, this one wearing elaborate armor with glowing circuit patterns. 6 decorative horns protruded from its helmet, suggesting high rank. "Human vessel," the alien said. "I am Fleet Commander Vector of the 8th Tazan Battle Group. You face the might of the hegemony. Surrender now, and your crew will be spared for study. Resist, and we will reduce your ship to atoms." Park met the alien's four-eyed gaze without flinching. "Fleet Commander, we still seek peaceful resolution. But if attacked, we will defend ourselves." The Tazan commander made a dismissive gesture. "Your single vessel cannot hope to withstand 30 warships. Your bravado is noted but misplaced." The transmission ended abruptly. "They're powering weapons," Jiu reported. "All ships, coordinated targeting solutions." Park returned to her chair. "Red alert. All hands to battle stations." The lighting on the bridge shifted to a dim red as alert klaxons sounded throughout the ship. "Nexus, jump on my mark," Park ordered. "Target coordinates Alpha 1. The tactical display showed the Tazan ships launching their first volley, hundreds of green energy beams converging on the Valiant's position. "Mark." The stars blurred momentarily as the Valiant vanished from its position, reappearing 3 seconds later behind the Tazan formation. Before the alien vessels could react, the Valiant fired its main batteries. Precision beams struck the engines of 2 Tazan ships, disabling them instantly. "Direct hits on targets 1 and 2, Jiu reported. "Their propulsion systems are offline." The Tazan formation broke, ships turning with ponderous grace to face the threat that had suddenly appeared behind them. "They're slow to respond," Hyjin noted, studying the AI's analysis. "Their command structure appears to require authorization for tactical changes. They can't react independently." Park smiled. "That's our advantage." Nexus jumped to coordinates Beta 3, then immediate jump to Delta 7 after firing. The Valiant danced through space, appearing and disappearing with bewildering speed. Each appearance lasted just long enough to fire its weapons before vanishing again. The Tazan ships, bound by rigid protocols and centralized command, struggled to track the human vessel. "Their commander is trying to create a defensive sphere," Hyjin reported as the AI mapped the Tazan reactions. "But some captains are waiting for orders while others act independently. They're in disarray." 3 hours into the battle, 5 Tazan ships had been disabled, their engines or weapon systems destroyed with surgical precision. The Valiant had taken only minor damage to its outer hull. "Nexus core at 60% capacity," Dowan reported from engineering. "We'll need to be more selective with our jumps." Park nodded. "Understood. Let's change tactics. Jihu, target their flagship with an EMP burst, then execute standard evasive pattern Omega." The Valiant reappeared directly above the Tazan command ship, firing a specialized electromagnetic pulse weapon that overloaded the alien vessel's communications array. Before the flagship could respond, the Valiant was gone again, this time using conventional propulsion to weave between the increasingly disorganized Tazan ships. By the end of the first day, 7 Tazan vessels were adrift in space, their crews alive but their ships unable to fight or pursue. The Valiant had withdrawn to a nearby asteroid field to make repairs and allow the Nexus core to recharge. They're regrouping, Taeyong observed, studying the long-range sensor data. But without clear communication from their flagship, they seem uncertain. Park had expected the Taezan to withdraw after such losses, but instead, they appeared determined to continue the hunt. They value obedience over tactical sense, she said. They've been ordered to destroy us, so they'll continue regardless of the cost. The pattern continued over the next 2 days. The Valiant would emerge from hiding, strike with precision, and disappear before the Taezan could mount an effective response. The human crew worked in rotating shifts, while the alien fleet seemed to grow more exhausted and disorganized with each encounter. On the 3rd day, after the Valiant had disabled 17 of the 30 Taezan vessels, the remaining ships finally broke formation and retreated. They're withdrawing at maximum speed, Ju reported, disbelief in his voice. All 13 remaining ships. The bridge crew exchanged looks of stunned relief. They had faced a force 30 times their size and emerged victorious. Damage report, Park ordered. Minor hull breaches on decks 4 and 7. Already sealed, Taeyong replied. 2 crew members with injuries, being treated in medical. Nexus core operating at reduced efficiency but stable. Park stood and faced her crew. Well done, everyone. But this isn't over. We've just shown the Taezan hegemony that their military doctrine has a critical weakness. They won't take that lesson lightly. Haijin looked up from her station. Commander, I've been analyzing their communications. From what I can gather, the hegemony leadership is in something approaching panic. They've never encountered a ship that could evade them so effectively or counter their numerical advantage. Park nodded slowly. Then we've bought ourselves some time. They'll need to reconsider their approach before sending another fleet. What happens now? Chunho asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. Now, Park said, we use this opportunity to learn more about the hegemony. There must be a reason they responded with such immediate hostility. No empire becomes this aggressive without facing threats of their own. As the Valiant moved deeper into hegemony space, the crew remained vigilant. They had won the first major confrontation, but Commander Park knew that the Taezan would return. And next time, they would bring much more than 30 ships. Commander, you need to see this. Science Officer Sunwoo Kim's voice held an unusual edge as he gestured Commander Park to his workstation. For the past week, the Valiant had been moving cautiously through hegemony territory, gathering intelligence while avoiding major population centers. Park leaned over Kim's shoulder, studying the data streaming across his screen. What am I looking at? Intercepted transmissions from a nearby Taezan mining colony, Kim explained. I've been working on breaking their encryption and finally managed to access their administrative databases. The screen showed images that made Park's expression harden. Aliens of various species worked in harsh conditions, supervised by armed Taezan guards. Some of the workers were little more than children. Slave labor, Park said quietly. They're using conquered species as workers. Kim nodded grimly. It gets worse. According to these records, the Taezan hegemony has conquered at least 47 developing civilizations in the last century alone. They specifically target worlds that have achieved spaceflight but haven't developed advanced weapons technology. Park straightened, her mind racing. So their hostility wasn't just territorial. They saw us as potential prey, until we demonstrated we could fight back. Exactly, Kim agreed. And there's something else. He tapped at his console, bringing up technical analyses of the Valiant captured by Taezan sensors. They're trying to understand how we defeated their battle group, but they're working from completely wrong assumptions. They think our weapons and defensive systems operate on principles they're familiar with. They don't understand the quantum entanglement technology, Park realized. Kim nodded. They're searching for power sources, energy signatures, radiation, all the usual signatures of conventional weapons. But our systems don't work that way. Earth's breakthrough had come 5 years earlier. The discovery that quantum particles could be entangled across space in ways that allowed for near-instantaneous energy transfer without traditional radiation or emissions. The Valiant's weapons didn't fire energy beams in the conventional sense. They created quantum disruptions that manifested at the target location, bypassing shields designed to block conventional energy. "This gives us an advantage," Park said. "But it won't matter if they simply overwhelm us with numbers." As if on cue, Lieutenant Ju called from the tactical station. "Commander, long-range sensors are detecting a massive fleet formation entering the sector. Over 100 vessels, including what appears to be a command ship 3 times the size of anything we've encountered so far." Park moved quickly to the main view screen, which showed the approaching Armada. The ships moved in perfect geometric patterns, their hulls gleaming with decorative lighting that highlighted weapon emplacements. "This is no battle group," Taeyong observed. "This is their version of a navy. The first Imperial fleet." Communications officer Shuno added, looking up from his station. "According to the transmissions I'm intercepting, it's led by someone called Grand Admiral Doyun, apparently their highest-ranking military commander." Park studied the tactical display. Even with their technological advantage, the Valiant couldn't hope to defeat so many ships. There were simply too many targets, and the Nexus Corps couldn't sustain enough jumps to evade them all. "How long until they're in range?" she asked. 3 hours at current speed," Ju replied. Park turned to Kim. "You said they don't understand our technology. Could we use that against them somehow?" The science officer thought for a moment. "Possibly. Their shields are designed to disperse energy attacks. They would be less effective against our quantum disruptors, but they'll still provide some protection. However," he paused, an idea forming. "Their sensors all operate on similar frequencies. If we could broadcast a targeted quantum pulse on those exact frequencies, we could disrupt their entire fleet's ability to coordinate," Park finished. "How quickly can you modify our systems to do that?" 2 hours, maybe less with help from engineering." Park nodded. "Make it happen." She turned to Taeyong. "Contact engineering. Tell Chief Dowan to assist with whatever Kim needs." As the crew prepared for the coming confrontation, Park retreated to her ready room. The information about the hegemony's treatment of other species weighed heavily on her. This was no longer simply about defending the Valiant. They had stumbled upon an empire built on conquest and exploitation. When she returned to the bridge an hour later, Kim and Dowan had already made significant progress on modifying the ship's systems. "We've calibrated the quantum disruptors to target their sensor frequencies," Kim reported. "When activated, it should create temporary blindness across their fleet. They won't be able to target us effectively or communicate with each other." "Good work," Park said. "But it won't stop all of them. Some will still manage to get shots off, and we can't evade 100 ships firing simultaneously." "We don't need to evade all of them," Taeyong suggested. "Just enough to survive long enough to make them reconsider." The massive Tezan fleet drew closer, spreading out to surround the Valiant. Their formation was impressive. Layers of smaller vessels protecting larger warships, with the enormous command ship at the center. "They're hailing us," Juno reported. "On screen," Park ordered, straightening her uniform. The view screen activated to show a Tazan officer with elaborate facial markings and a uniform covered in gleaming metals. 6 curved horns adorned his helmet, similar to the battle group commander but more ornate. "I am Grand Admiral Doyun of the First Imperial Fleet," the alien announced, his translated voice deep and resonant. "By direct order of Emperor Cuban, your vessel is to be destroyed and your technology claimed for the glory of the hegemony. Your defeat of our battle group was impressive but meaningless. No single ship can stand against the might of the Imperial fleet." Park met the alien's gaze calmly. "Admiral Doyun, I am Commander Ju Park of the Earth vessel Valiant. We've learned much about your hegemony in recent days, including how you enslave developing civilizations and exploit their resources and people. Humanity will not suffer such a fate." The Admiral's upper eyes narrowed. "Your knowledge is irrelevant. Your destruction is imminent. Before you attack, Park continued, I offer you a chance to withdraw. Your understanding of our technology is fundamentally flawed. You cannot defeat what you do not comprehend. Do-Yun made a dismissive gesture. Your arrogance exceeds even your technological achievements. This conversation is over. The transmission ended. They're moving into attack positions, Ju reported. Energy signatures indicate weapon charging across the fleet. Park took her seat in the command chair. All hands, battle stations. Lieutenant Kim, prepare to activate the quantum pulse on my mark. She looked around at her crew, resolve in her eyes. Let's show the hegemony that humanity isn't as easy to conquer as they think. The stars outside seemed to dim as the Tezun ships closed in, their weapons glowing with deadly promise. The first Imperial fleet opened fire in perfect synchronization. Hundreds of energy beams converged on the Valiant's position, illuminating space with deadly green light. Quantum shields at maximum. Taeyong called out as the bridge trembled under the assault. Park gripped her command chair. Now, Lieutenant Kim, activate the pulse. Kim's fingers flew across his console. Quantum pulse initiating in 3, 2, 1. The Valiant seemed to shimmer for a brief moment as it released an invisible wave of quantum disruption, targeted specifically at the frequencies used by Tezun sensors and communications. Across the enemy fleet, screens went dark and targeting systems failed. Pulse successful, Kim reported. Their sensors are temporarily blinded. Nexus jumped to coordinates Epsilon 9. Park ordered. Deploy Lazarus Protocol and release the drones. The Valiant vanished from the center of the Tezun formation, reappearing behind a cluster of smaller vessels. As it did, panels along its hull slid open, releasing hundreds of tiny metallic objects barely larger than a human fist. Microdrones deployed, Ju confirmed. Autonomous targeting active. The drones, one of the Valiant's most closely guarded secrets, were self-guided infiltration units. Using the same quantum entanglement technology as the ship's weapons, they could phase partially through matter, allowing them to bypass hull plating and shields. On the tactical display, Park watched as the drone swarmed toward the nearest Tezun ships. Lazarus Protocol status. Online and functioning, reported Chief Engineer Dowen from below decks. Self-repair systems at 90% efficiency. The Lazarus Protocol was another Earth breakthrough, a network of nanomachines that could repair damage to the ship's systems in real time, essentially allowing the Valiant to heal itself during battle. It wasn't perfect, but it would keep critical systems functioning far longer than the Tezun would expect. Multiple hits from enemy vessels, Ju called out as the ship rocked again. Shields holding at 63%. Return fire, Park ordered. Target their weapon systems only. The Valiant's quantum disruptors fired, the energy manifesting directly at the target locations rather than traveling as visible beams. Weapon emplacements on 3 Tezun cruisers suddenly exploded, the quantum disruption causing their power systems to overload from within. Meanwhile, the microdrones had reached their targets. They phased through the outer hulls of Tezun vessels and homed in on critical systems, power junctions, control circuits, life support regulators. They didn't destroy these systems outright, but instead introduced subtle malfunctions that would compound over time. Commander, Junho called from communications. I'm detecting confusion in their transmissions. Ships are reporting system failures across the fleet. Their coordination is breaking down. The quantum pulse worked better than expected, Kim added. Their centralized command structure relies heavily on sensor data. Without it, individual captains are hesitating to act independently. Park nodded. The rigid hierarchy of the hegemony was becoming its own worst enemy. But the Valiant was still vastly outnumbered. Enemy ships regrouping, Ju warned. They're adapting to the sensor disruption, using visual targeting. Outside, the Tezun vessels were adjusting their formation, creating a 3-dimensional net around the Valiant's position. Even with compromised sensors, they could still trap the human ship through sheer numbers. Predictive AI analysis suggests they're attempting to limit our jump options, Hyjin reported. If we jump in any direction, at least 20 ships will have firing solutions. Park considered their options. Dowan, what's the status of the Nexus core? We can manage 3 more jumps at most before risking overload, the engineer replied. The system wasn't designed for this kind of sustained combat. Before Park could respond, Chunho straightened at his station. Commander, intercepting a priority transmission from Admiral Doyun's flagship. There, his face paled. They're targeting a planetary system. Population approximately 3 billion. Non-Tezan species. Kim quickly brought the system up on the main viewer. A small blue-green world orbited a yellow star, teeming with life according to their scans. They're launching something, Ju reported, his voice tense. Long-range projectiles, based on their yield. They're planet killers. Park rose from her chair. They're trying to force our hand. They know we won't let them destroy an innocent world. The missiles will reach the planet in 17 minutes, Ju said. We can intercept, but it would mean leaving ourselves exposed to the fleet, Taeyong finished. Park's decision was immediate. Set intercept course for those missiles. Prepare to jump. Commander, Taeyong protested. The Valiant can't be in 2 places at once. If we go after the missiles, the fleet will regroup and be waiting when we return. A slight smile appeared on Park's face. Who says we need to be in 2 places? Lieutenant Kim, is your quantum entanglement theory still valid? Kim looked up, understanding dawning. Yes, Commander. If we calibrate the Nexus core correctly, we could theoretically create a quantum duplicate of the Valiant. Not physically real, but energetically present. It would only last for seconds, but long enough to fire real weapons, Park finished. Make it happen. While Kim and Dowan worked frantically to reconfigure the Nexus core, the Valiant jumped to intercept the planet killer missiles. 8 massive projectiles were speeding toward the unsuspecting world, each capable of causing extinction-level damage. Target all missiles simultaneously, Park ordered. Maximum disruption. The Valiant fired its quantum disruptors at full power. Instead of trying to destroy the missiles conventionally, the weapons created quantum disruptions within their guidance systems, causing them to veer off course or detonate prematurely. One by one, the planet killers exploded harmlessly in space. All missiles neutralize, Ju reported. But the fleet has regrouped. They're converging on our position. Quantum duplicate ready, Kim announced. But we'll only get 1 shot at this. Park nodded. Target Admiral Doyun's flagship. Focus on propulsion and command centers. The Nexus core hummed as it channeled unprecedented levels of energy. For a brief moment, the Valiant existed in 2 places simultaneously. 1 physical ship intercepting the missiles, and 1 quantum duplicate appearing directly beside the massive Tezan flagship. Both versions of the Valiant fired their weapons in perfect synchronization. The quantum duplicate unleashed its full arsenal at point-blank range against the flagship before dissolving back into energy. Explosions blossomed across the enormous vessel as its propulsion systems failed catastrophically. Direct hits, Ju exclaimed. The flagship's engines are completely disabled. Their command and control systems are offline. Without their admiral's guidance and with their flagship crippled, the Imperial fleet fell into disarray. Ships moved in contradictory patterns, some continuing to attack while others held position, waiting for orders that would never come. The microdrones have compromised 37 enemy vessels, Kim reported. Critical systems failing across the fleet. Park watched as the once perfect formation of the Tezan Armada dissolved into chaos. Individual captains, unable to coordinate and faced with an enemy that seemed to defy the laws of physics, began to withdraw. They're retreating, Taeyong said, disbelief in his voice. The most powerful fleet in the hegemony. And they're running. Park allowed herself a moment of satisfaction before addressing her crew. Well done, everyone. But our fight isn't over yet. The hegemony now knows what one human ship can do. They'll be back, And next time, they'll be prepared. Commander Park stood on the bridge of the Valiant, looking at the stars through the view screen. The battle had left its mark on the once pristine vessel. Scorch marks darkened sections of the hull, and temporary patches covered areas where Tazen weapons had broken through the shields. "All systems are stabilized," reported Chief Engineer Dowen. "We won't be pretty, but we're operational." Park nodded. "Thank you, Chief. Is the communications array at full capacity?" "Yes, Commander. We can broadcast across the entire sector if needed." Park took a deep breath. The defeat of the first Imperial fleet had created a unique opportunity, one that might never come again. "Lieutenant Juno, prepare a sector-wide transmission. All frequencies, all translation protocols active." As the crew prepared the broadcast, Science Officer Kim approached Park with a data tablet. "Commander, I've compiled information on all known subjugated worlds in this sector. There are 27 with significant populations, all under hegemony control." "And how many show signs of resistance?" Park asked. "Surprisingly, most of them. The hegemony's grip has been weakening for years, but they maintained control through fear and superior military might. Now that the Imperial fleet has been defeated," Park understood. "Now they see a chance. Lieutenant Junho, are we ready?" "Broadcast ready, Commander. You'll live across the sector in 3, 2, 1. Park squared her shoulders and addressed the camera. "This is Commander Juu Park of the Earth vessel HMS Valiant. To all peoples living under Tazen hegemony control, you have witnessed what happened to the Imperial fleet. For the first time in centuries, the hegemony's military domination has been broken." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Humanity has no interest in conquering your worlds or replacing one empire with another. We believe all species have the right to self-determination and freedom. The Valiant stands ready to support any people fighting for their liberty." She continued, explaining that the Valiant would share defensive technology with resistance movements and help coordinate their efforts. "This is your moment. The hegemony is vulnerable. Together, we can end their reign of oppression." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, the Valiant received messages from resistance leaders on 18 different worlds. Some had been fighting the Tazen for generations. Others had only dreamed of freedom until now. "We need to establish secure communication channels with all of them," Park told her officers. "Lieutenant Kim, work with engineering to develop simplified versions of our defensive technology that they can reproduce with their resources." "What about the hegemony's response?" Taeyong asked. "They still control thousands of worlds. They'll send more ships." "They will," Park agreed, "but their myth of invincibility is shattered. Every defeat will inspire more resistance. Their empire is built on fear, not loyalty." Over the next days, the Valiant moved from system to system, always staying one step ahead of pursuing Tazen forces. At each stop, they made contact with local resistance groups, sharing knowledge and technology. On the mining world of Karath, they provided plans for shield generators that could protect resistance bases from orbital bombardment. On water-covered Nibis, they helped local aquatic species disable the Tazen atmospheric processors that were slowly making their oceans toxic. Each victory, however small, spread word of the Valiant and its mission. 2 weeks after the defeat of the Imperial fleet, Park received a transmission from a Tazen colony world called Meridian. The message came not from resistance fighters, but from the planet's governor. "The governor wishes to defect," Junho explained, surprised. "He says there are others in the hegemony administration who have long opposed the Emperor's policies, but were afraid to speak out." Park was cautious but intrigued. "Arrange a meeting, but with full security protocols." The meeting took place on Meridian's largest moon. Governor Seojin arrived with a small contingent of aides, all nervously eyeing the human security team. "Commander Park," the governor began, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly, "what your ship has achieved is unprecedented. The Emperor is in panic. 3 provincial governors have already declared independence, and military units are refusing orders to suppress local uprisings. "Why are you telling us this?" Park asked. "Because the hegemony is collapsing from within. Those of us who want a peaceful transition need allies." He hesitated. "And protection. The Imperial loyalists will not surrender power willingly." Park saw an opportunity. "What do you propose?" "A conference. Representatives from all worlds in this sector. Tazon reformists, resistance leaders, independent species. A chance to build something new from the ruins of the old empire." The idea took shape quickly. Under the Valiant's protection, representatives from 32 worlds gathered aboard the human ship. Species that had been enemies or slaves to one another just weeks before now sat together, discussing a shared future. Park opened the conference simply. "Your peoples have suffered under the hegemony's rule for centuries. Now you have a chance to create something better, not an empire built on conquest, but a cooperative of equals." The discussions were heated at times. Ancient grievances and deep mistrust couldn't be overcome in days, but the shared experience of hegemony oppression and the example of the Valiant's crew, working together regardless of background or origin, provided a powerful model. On the 5th day, the representatives reached agreement on a framework for what they called the Galactic Cooperative, a union of independent worlds bound by mutual defense and free exchange of knowledge and resources. As the conference concluded, a representative from Navis, a jellyfish-like being floating in a water tank, addressed Park. "Commander, your single ship has accomplished what our combined resistance couldn't achieve in centuries. How is this possible?" Park considered her answer carefully. The Tazon believed that superior numbers and rigid hierarchy were the keys to power. They couldn't understand that true strength comes from adaptability, creativity, and the freedom to act independently toward a common goal. One human ship defeated their fleet not because our technology is superior, but because we think differently. "And will Earth send more ships to help us?" asked another representative. "Eventually," Park replied. "But for now, you have the Valiant. And more importantly, you have each other." As the representatives departed to spread word of the new cooperative, Park stood with her officers on the observation deck, watching shuttles return to their respective worlds. "What happens when we return to Earth?" Taeyong asked quietly. "We'll report what we found," Park said, "and recommend that humanity join the cooperative as equals, not leaders or saviors." "And the hegemony?" Kim asked. "Their empire is breaking apart. Some worlds will join the cooperative. Others will try to maintain the old ways, but they'll never again believe themselves invincible or destined to rule." Park looked out at the stars, at worlds beginning to chart their own courses after centuries of oppression. The Valiant had arrived in this sector by accident, but its impact would echo through this part of the galaxy for generations. "Our mission was to explore the unknown," she said to her crew. "I'd say we've accomplished that, and more." In the months that followed, the Valiant continued to move through former hegemony space, helping stabilize the new cooperative and defend against Imperial loyalist attacks. The ship's hull remained scarred from battle, its crew tired but proud. They had become a symbol, proof that determination and principle could overcome even the most daunting odds. When the time finally came to return to Earth, the Valiant departed not as a lone explorer but escorted by ships from a dozen cooperative worlds, each built with technology shared by the humans. As the wormhole opened before them, Park gave one final order: "Take us home. We have quite a story to tell." The end.